I'm just gonna preface by saying this, I don't really do UU battles, and this battle is definitely something else. With Scarlet and Violet, I've only really been doing OU battles on this channel, but in my BDSP days, I was using lower tier mons in higher tiers and having some success with it. So I kind of wanted to go back to my roots and start using some lower tier mons, work my way down the tiering system. And my team really is fun. I don't have an item on my Quick Wavel, and I forgot to take a picture of my opponent's team, which is pretty heavily OU. So not off to a good start there. But I am working with Quick Wavel, Nicki Minaj, the Tsarina, my Dark Magician Boy, Grimmsnarl, Sandy Shock, Scizor, and ARMAROUGE. In my opinion, it's a really good setup. I'm just a little worried about being swept by Volcarona. I don't want that thing to start setting up Quiver Dances and being hardwalled by Dondozo. But let's just get right into the battle. Let's crack it open and see what this is about. He's going to lead with Hydreigon, and I lead off with my Sandy Shocks, and this honestly could be a little bit of a problem for me. Whenever I see Hydreigon, I honestly think Substitute, Nasty Plot, and Attack. So if I can't hit him with my Thunderbolt because it's not very effective, and Earth Power doesn't affect him at all because of Levitate, I'm a little worried that he's going to start setting up. However, I really also want my entry hazards. I find them very important in this match because of Dondozo primarily. Dondozo does not like entry hazards, especially if it's not running heavy duty boots. So my priority right now is kind of just scouting. I'll go for the Stealth Rocks and see what he's going to work with. And he's going to go right for the Flash Cannon. Maybe he thought I would switch. Definitely did not expect that, but at least it wasn't an Earth Power. So I'll take it. Now that he's going to switch out, I'm like, alright, I have nothing to lose. Let me just go for Spikes. I don't really care. I just want more and more hazards on the field. He's going to switch now into Iron Treads, and I'm thinking immediately, alright, he's got the booster energy. He's definitely running Rapid Spin. He does not want these hazards on the field. So I gotta work a little smarter, maybe a little harder. He's definitely gonna outspeed me, like I said, because of the booster energy, and Iron Tread just has more base speed anyway, which is kind of wild. I don't have a spin blocker, no ghost types on this team, but what I do have is something a little different, and that is my Terra Ghost Sandy Shocks, which I don't like going and terastallizing on the first turn. This is granted the second turn. Either way, it's way too early for my liking, but I'm risking it all for my hazards. So here I'm thinking, alright, I'm Terra Ghost, he's gonna go right for Rapid Spin, and he goes for the Earthquake, just full on sends it on Earthquake. Granted, yes, I get the Iron Treads out with an Earth Power, which is fantastic, but I really wanted to predict that Rapid Spin and just have that awesome prediction, keep my Sandy Shocks at near full health, and not make it seem like I wasted my Terra, which honestly it feels like I did. I don't lose Sandy Shocks because I would have gone down to Earthquake, but I can't do anything with the Terra Ghost Sandy Shocks at this point in the game. So he's going to bring in Volcarona now, which is literally the worst possible case scenario. I can't really hit this thing well. It has decent special defense bulk, and now he's just going to start Quiver Dancing on top of it. And looking at my team, I'm like, wow, I lose. I lose. Scizor goes down to a Flamethrower or Fiery Dance. So does Tsarina. This thing could Terra Ground and go for Terra Blast and kill my ARMAROUGE. It could have Giga Drain and Terra Grass and kill my Quick Wavel. And that's really what is so hard about Volcarona. It can just Terastallize and Terra Blast its way through the entire meta and win. So the only smart thing for me to do is to go into my Grimmsnarl, start setting up my screens, parting shot this thing, and just hope and pray that I don't get swept 5-0. That's the biggest thing. So I go for my light screen, of course. He's going to go for a second Quiver Dance here. I mean, I would. I obviously know I have the upper hand here with Volcarona, so I would go for a third one if I wanted to. This is kind of the point in showdown battles where people just start forfeiting because they know Volcarona is so hard to deal with. We're going to stick it out anyway because we are not quitters. And I'm going to go for a parting shot here. I'm going to go right into Quick Wavel. It's my only option, it seems. I'm a physical attacker, right? So we'll see what's up. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what this is about. And yeah, I'm just going to rough this out. He's going to go for the Bug Buzz, and it does nothing. So I'm like, okay, good. He has Quiver Dance, most likely a fire move. Well, definitely a fire move. Bug Buzz, and maybe Morning Sun. So I feel like I'm in a really good spot. Right? We're good. I'm gonna click Aqua Step. We're gonna get our speed up, but no, he's going to Terastallize here. I know it's coming, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I see Terra Grass Volcarona. I didn't even have to wait for the crystals to clear. I just knew what it was. So he's running 3 attacks and Quiver Dance. Naturally, I don't survive, and yeah, I lose. I absolutely 100% lose. There's just no way around it. He can kill me with Bug Buzz here. On my ARMAROUGE, he has a fire move for a Scizor. He can kill Sarina. Sandy Shocks goes down quite easily. There is no escaping this battle. I'm going to go into Grimmsnarl once more. We're going to Parting Shot. And at this point in the match, this is a very tricky position to be in, so fingers are crossed. Fingers, toes, anything I can think of, everything's crossed. This next move is the most critical point of the battle because it'll really determine if I can dig myself out of a hole or if I'm going to stay 6 feet under. I need to bring in something that's going to apply so much pressure, and that's really ARMAROUGE. This Volcarona special defense is sitting at a very daunting +2, but his special attack is nothing to look at and go, ooh, I'm scared. He has to do a Light Screen and 2 Parting Shots. He does go for Fiery Dance, and naturally he's going to get the special attack boost. And I have a feeling he's going to want to start setting up more Quiver Dances because he knows in the back of his mind I can't really do much to him because I'm a special attacker. However, I can start setting up Calm Minds and start leveling the playing field, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. And I have Armor Cannon, which just rips through him. And considering he's a grass type, it's going to do a ton of damage. He goes for yet another Quiver Dance, and now I'm starting to think, okay, this is a little scary because I don't know how much damage I'm actually going to do. We're going to see. I fire off an Armor Cannon, and oh my gosh, a ton of damage. And this is with this thing's special defense at what, like, +4, +5, I'm not even sure at this point. He goes for Bug Buzz, and I hang on. ARMAROUGE coming in so clutch. I finish him off with a final Armor Cannon, and now I kind of feel like I'm back in it, maybe. I don't know, because Sandy Shocks is sitting very low. He still has a Dondozo, he still has a Hydreigon. The most important thing, though, is that I did not get swept by Volcarona, which was honestly the biggest fear from the start. He's going to send in Hydreigon now. He'll take some damage from rocks, which is phenomenal. And I'm just going to stack off ARMAROUGE at this point. I don't have much planned for him anymore. I don't think there's much he can do. But he did his job. He served his purpose. And we got that very annoying Volcarona out. He is going to go for U-turn, which does serve me well because now I get to see what he's going to switch into. He ends up switching into the Eelektross, and my screens are going to wear off. This is where things are going to get a little tricky again because I don't really fight these things much. Again, from an OU perspective, he has an OU team, but he also has this Eelektross. I think the safest thing to do is to bring in my Dark Magician and start setting up screens because I think Eelektross can carry both physical and special moves. I'm just going to go for Light Screen in case he decides to go for like a Thunder or Thunderbolt. Either way, it's also really nice to have up the screens. He actually goes for Drain Punch, which, again, kind of serves the whole purpose of what Eelektross can do, and that's just be annoying and all over the place. So I'm going to be annoying and all over the place as well. I'll set up my Reflex, and he actually goes for Discharge now. Again, this is really good because I'm learning what this thing is capable of. I'll go for a Parting Shot, this way I can completely shut this thing out. He's actually going to switch into the Hydreigon here, and that's a really smart move because now he's just withering down the turns that I have my screens up. Parting Shot does not affect ghost types, or not ghost types, dark types. I can go for Spirit Break, and if he stays in, that'll be a really great way to throw him off. But he's not dumb. He's making really good plays. He's going to U-turn now, and he's going to probably go back into Eelektross or maybe even Dondozo. Yeah, Dondozo's the play. Makes perfect sense. Thankfully, he does not have heavy-duty boots because he does get hurt by the rocks and the spikes. I go for Spirit Break. It does nothing, of course, and now I kind of have to switch out. Sandy Shocks really is the only thing that I have to beat this Dondozo. I do have Sarina with Power Whip, which would do a good amount of damage, but I feel like I would just constantly be rest stalled, and I don't want to enable that. He goes for Liquidation here, and it does a tiny bit of damage, but what really sucks is that I can't pressure him at all with this Sandy Shocks. He has 2 Pokemon with Levitate, Eelektross and Hydreigon. I can go for Thunderbolt and start withering him down, but regardless, I really need Sandy Shocks to stay around so I can take care of this Dondozo 100%. So I go for Thunderbolt here. Hopefully it does a good amount of damage, and it does absolutely nothing, which tells me that this Electros is probably Assault Vest. So I have to quickly pivot out. I can't leave Sandy Shocks in, like I said. At this point, I just have to bring in something that's going to put on a lot of damage, and that is my full investment Adamant Scizor. I can go for close combat here. It'll do a ton of damage on whatever comes in. He goes for the discharge, and he does get the paralysis off on me, which absolutely sucks. And I just have to, like I said, keep my fingers crossed and hope for a ton of damage. The move really here is close combat. The close combat's going to come through, I don't get para-haxed, and it does a ton of damage as expected. This is great because now I'm just going to be building momentum. I need as much damage on the Hydreigon and Electros as possible to make room for my Sandy Shocks to come in and shine. The light screen does wear off, which does suck, but that only means that I have to keep applying as much pressure as possible. I'm going to go back into my Grimmsnarl, set up screens again, and just keep pushing. I do not plan on letting my foot off the gas at this point. Getting that Volcarona out really kind of inspired me to go as hard as I can and win this battle. I do go for the light screen, of course. I want to block as much damage from that discharge as possible, and he's going to paralyze me, of course. Why not? Just make this battle harder for me. I'd like to parting shot him, but I get paralyzed again. Just feel like I'm getting screwed right now. He goes for Drain Punch, which is smart to kind of get around the light screen, and he KOs my Grimmsnarl, putting me in yet another tough position because now I can't spam my screens. So this is a tough battle, honestly. It's really back and forth. I think it's time for the Queen to shine. I'm gonna bring in my Nicki Minaj, and the plan is to go for Rapid Spin. Why? Because I want to be as fast as possible. He does have Hydreigon, and honestly, I'd rather be faster than him. I want to beat him to the punch and get that super effective U-turn off as quickly as possible. Rapid Spin does a decent amount of damage. I get the +1, he goes for Discharge, and I'm really hoping I don't get paralyzed here. Thankfully I don't. I just decided to go for Power Up here. I want to make sure I knock him out and I don't get Discharge. This thing is going to keep taking damage from the Stealth Rocks, which is what I wanted from the start. I click U-turn, and he actually is Scarfed because he gets the U-turn off faster than me. Did not expect that whatsoever. He can only switch out into Dondozo, which is going to wall my U-turn, but like I said, like I wanted, those Stealth Rocks, those spikes, they're going to eat away at its health, which is what you want when going up against the Dondozo. You absolutely just want to keep stacking those hazards. And look how much damage that's doing there. He's already in the yellow zone. U-turn's going to even chip away at some damage. And because he made that play, now I have the advantage. The ball is in my court. I can just switch into whatever I want, and that is my Sandy Shocks. So even if he does switch out into Hydreigon, that's fine because he's just going to take hazard damage and Thunderbolt damage. At this point in the match, I don't mind. I don't care. As long as he has one of his Levitate Mons out of the way, all I have to deal with now is the Hydreigon. So he's going to switch, and you know, this Hydreigon is now almost at half health. Thunderbolt's going to come through. Let's see how much that does. Honestly, a good amount. I'm very happy with that damage. So now, I can switch. I'm going to go into Scizor because he's probably running, what does he have, like Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, U-turn, and probably Draco Meteor. I can eat all of those attacks as a Scizor, so I'm feeling very, very comfortable. And because I have U-turn, he's either going to go down to U-turn, or if he switches out into Dondozo, I can just go back into my Sandy Shock. So again, I'm feeling very, very comfortable. Instead, I actually go Bullet Punch, which, you know, I'm narrating from the perspective of a few days later. U-turn would have been the better move, but I guess in the moment I was afraid of this thing having Flamethrower. It just made the most sense that his last slot would be a Dragon move like Dragon Pulse or Draco Meteor. But regardless, it doesn't matter. I KO'd the Hydreigon anyway. He didn't want to go Dondozo to take the hazard damage, so I totally get that. So now he's going to bring in the Gallade, which I completely forgot about, and this is, again, another scary thing to deal with because Gallade is honestly a late game like sleeper hit. It can really tear apart teams. It has access to agility. I think it has Swords Dance. And because of its new ability Sharpness, it can really, really rip through teams. So I'm thinking Bullet Punch is the way to go. I want to make sure I get as much damage as possible. I think I can probably take a hit from this thing too, so 2 Bullet Punches should be the trick. He goes for Sacred Sword, and that kills me 100%. I was fully expecting to take at least 1 hit from this, but maybe he's choice banned. I'm definitely scared to bring in Sarina. I'm not going to do that. The only option I really have is Sandy Shocks, just because I'm faster. But what also scares me is that Gallade has access to Shadow Sneak, and that is terrifying. But I am faster. He does not have Shadow Sneak. I get the Thunderbolt off, and I KO the Gallade. So now that's game. That's game right there. All he has is Dondozo. I just have to go for Thunderbolt. So great game to my opponent. Honestly, this was a very, very back and forth, enticing match. I like this a lot. Yeah, there you go. The battle's canceled. So once more, good game. I think this battle just goes to show the state of what UU is. It's loaded with tons of threats that were also once OU mons that dropped to UU. And, you know, tons of powerhouses. I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. And feel free to leave a like and subscribe to my channel.